Committee. Today is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, 11 a.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Hobart.
Here.
Berlin.
Here.
Chaplin.
Here.
Childress.
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Here.
Galasi.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Kazmarek.
Here.
Lucas. Rutledge.
Here.
White. You.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to chairwoman's remarks. For the chair's remarks this morning, I want to remind the committee that DuPage County was the target of a ransomware attack last week. The incident affected the sheriff's office, the 18th Judicial Circuit, and the circuit court clerk's office. This cyber incident did not impact other elected officials, offices, and departments in the county. The IT department is working tirelessly, including last weekend with the Circuit Court Clerk's Office, the 18th Judicial Circuit Court, the Sheriff's Office, and cybersecurity experts to ensure all DuPage County technology environments are safe and secure. Please remember that the team cannot answer questions or share sensitive details about the incident, as this investigation and recovery efforts are ongoing. Lastly, I want to thank Nick Kottmeyer, Jason Blumenthal, Evan Shields, and the IT department, the Circuit Court Clerk's Office, the 18th Judicial Circuit Court, the Sheriff's Office, and our cybersecurity experts for their collaborative efforts to secure the county's technology assets and advance investigation recovery efforts so quickly. This serves as a great example of the collaborative and excellent work done in DuPage County, even when facing a crisis. So thank you. I want to give them a round. Moving on to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
No.
Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. I entertain a motion to approve 25-1180 approval of minutes for the Technology Committee regular meeting Tuesday, April 15, 2025.
So moved.
Second. All right, I have a motion, a second. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? All right, hearing that none, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to procurement requisitions, I entertain a motion on TEP 000-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to She International Corp. For the annual maintenance of Tanium Endpoint Security Platform for information technology for the period of June 7th, 2025 through June 6th, 2026 for a contract total amount of $51,744. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Yeah. Any questions or comments?
Sure.
Yes.
If I may, I want to share with the committee that this particular item, there's a significant reduction in what we paid in the past. So originally we had licenses to ensure that we were fully covered. This year we decided to look closely, and it's the process that we're implementing for all of our contracts, but we decided to look closer at our contract, ensure that this was the best solution for us. We even went out and looked at other tools. But at the end result was that we found other tools that were cheaper. So we went back to the existing software company, pushed them, and we internally also worked to modify our licensing numbers. We changed endpoints for things that we didn't need anymore and made some adjustments. The end result was that it went from 105,000 down to 51,000 after that review. So just thought it was important for the committee to be aware of that. We're looking at all of our contracts this way, especially considering we're not sure what's going to happen in the future with budgets, and we want to be as lean as we possibly can. But I want to give Joe Hamlin and the team credit for that, for number one, going out and looking for a different solution. This is one of the top solutions in the industry right now, and to look for something else, typically companies don't do, and they were very open to switching it in order to save money. But then also going back to the vendor and saying, hey, we have a cheaper solution. What can you do for us? And the end result was the 51,000. So just wanted you all to be aware of that.
Thank you.
Don't ask, you don't get.
Got to speak up.
Any other questions? All right. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to, I entertain a motion on 6B 25-1161, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Business Software, Inc. for the annual maintenance of the BSI Tax Factory payroll tax calculation and compliance software for information technology for the period of June 16, 2025 through June 15, 2026, for a total contract amount of $18,461.10. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Yes, member you?
So this tax factory payroll, is it specifically for IT or is it for one of the other departments?
It's for HR, so it's actually used by HR to calculate taxes related to salaries. This is the last year for using this software. When we go to the Dayforce solution, the Dayforce company actually will do that, will calculate and do this process. So it goes away in 2026 and beyond. I think 2026. I think we have to do one more year and then it goes away.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to informational items, I entertain a motion to receive and place on file JPS P 0022-25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Key Tower LLC to provide radio tower maintenance and equipment upgrades for the sheriff's office for the period of May 13, 2025 through May 12, 2028 for a contract total not to exceed $211,365 for lowest responsible bid.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to our presentation by Anthony, AI guidelines. Take it away, Anthony.
Thank you very much. Chair. Okay, so slow this morning. So wanted to give the committee a heads up on us releasing the new artificial intelligence guidelines for DuPage County. The team has worked on these guidelines for over a year now. We had hoped to release them last year, but our strategy with AI through DuPage County is to take our time to be meticulous about our review of the different tools, the different policies that are out there, the different changes that are happening. So end result is I think that we have a guideline, which the actual guidelines is in the packet. So if you have not had a chance to review the packet, the guidelines are in there. Please look through and let us know if you have any questions. But let me start by how we developed the AI guidelines. We, as you guys know, we put together an AI committee, our AI task force, and essentially we worked with industry leaders. We looked at other AI policies and guidelines that are out there on the web that are currently in place. And we worked with the Gartner Technology Advisory Company to bounce it off of them to make sure that we weren't missing anything. And that is how we developed it. The big key here is we really developed it based on best practices and research specific to local government, right? There are AI guidelines that are used in private sector and nonprofit, other areas. What we tried to do is develop one that is specific to how we work as a county government. So why do we even need guidelines? And you may hear organizations say AI policy, you'll hear some say guidelines. There's a slight nuance difference between the two, and we decided to go with guidelines. One, policy is more restrictive, and it's more difficult to change a policy than a guideline. Guideline gives us more flexibility, right? And the technology is changing a lot. I would say every other month, there's a new tool, a new rule, a new change. So it gives us the ability to go in and make some adjustments to the guideline, whereas a policy would take us longer to change it. In the long run, we would like to issue a policy once things stabilize in the AI world. We'll create a policy and the policy will point to the guideline, so which has the details. But why guidelines? Because we need ethical, responsible, and secure use of AI through DuPage County, and the only way for our users to know is for us to give them some guidance. And that's exactly what this document tries to do. Also, it leverages AI for efficiency while upholding privacy, security, and DuPage County policies. Who and what's covered. It applies to all DuPage County end users on the county-owned equipment, networks, and technologies. So anything related to any equipment that we deploy, any software that we use or connected to any of our networks, that's what it applies to. So it also includes essentially it includes generative AI, which are like chatbots right now, virtual assistants, image and video creation, machine learning and predictive analytics, natural language processing, speech recognition and translation, computer vision, facial recognition, autonomous vehicles, and robotics. So key guidelines and requirements. So one of the things in here that the end users should be aware of is all initiatives, either new or upgrades related to AI, should be reviewed and approved for IT, simply to ensure compatibility with existing tools and application, to make sure that it's secure is probably the most important part, and to make sure that it follows ethical compliance, so that you're doing it in an ethical way. Things that are prohibited here is no processing of personal identifiable information, PII, HIPAA data, or for official use only, law enforcement sensitive. That's a new acronym there. I was going to spell it out, but it takes up so much room on the slide that I didn't. But that one's a new one, but it's for official use only, law enforcement sensitive data is what it stands for, or other sensitive personal data unless explicitly approved. No discriminatory use. So AI generated media must be clearly labeled. And there's an example that we gave there that we actually pulled. I'll let you read through it. And then last but not least, no use on personal devices to bypass county safeguards. So that's super important. We don't want anyone taking county data, putting it on their systems, and then running it through a AI tool. Why? Because those AI tools will then share it with others, right? So they collect information, and their answers are based on what they collectively learn about. So what we're trying to do internally, and I'll get to that in a second, but I think it's important to mention it now, is to create a closed AI loop. So the tools that we create, we want to point to the data sources. So they can only check our data sources. We have to make sure that data is up to date and accurate, but they can only check our data sources. So that's what we're leaning towards. All right, and then additionally, permitted uses. These are things that in the guidelines that we believe make the most sense. Drafting non-sensitive communications, data analysis and visualization, and then process automation for non-sensitive workflows. Super important, privacy and security by design. AI tools must comply with data protection laws. So whatever you use, hopefully you're going through us to make sure that we approve it, but they have to follow data protection laws. That's the first thing you need to ensure. So, and there are some tools that don't. We can run into a lot of issues if the data gets leaked out or misused. All right, AI usage guidelines, training and partnerships. So moving forward, we would like for training to be mandatory. So we are pushing that. Mandatory, I guess is a strong word, but we put it in there. But we would like for all staff to who use AI tools to take an annual class, same what they do with cybersecurity. It's just as important. It can cause just as much havoc if as cyber issues that we have out there. So we think it's super important. The good news is we have been able to partner with a organization called US Innovate. Innovate US, could see the name, Innovate US. And basically this organization works with nonprofit. It creates a lot of great free training resources that are out there, but we reviewed their AI course and we thought it was comprehensive, easy to follow, and just a good source for our users to use so they better understand not only what AI is about, but also some of the risks that are out there in using AI. So there's a link there to Innovate US and the training that's out there. We've created a portal, essentially a branded portal that you can go to that provides that training. Upcoming tool rollout. So as pending access, we plan to introduce the free Microsoft Copilot chat. That's what I was mentioning earlier. We're going to customize it to work within DuPage County, and we'll put a lot of guardrails around it to ensure that it's safe and it's safe and ethical use. And then ongoing support, IT-led awareness sessions, and we'll implement. We've already done it. To date, we've had a few different AI sessions. We'll continue to have that. We'll also create a support community that'll help guide best practices, help troubleshoot issues if there are any department or elected official officers that runs into any problems. And of course, keep the guidelines current. I'm going to take a quick pause to ask if there are questions before I move on to the next slide, which is about AI survey results. I thought it was important to share the AI survey results that we have with you. So any questions so far about the guidelines? Okay, we're around. Just let us know. Please review them and let us know if you need clarification. I actually have the experts that worked on it, Debbie Deasy, Michelle Monty, who worked on it here. So if you have any technical questions or any additional questions, just let us know. All right. I also wanted to share as part of this presentation the results of AI survey. So we recently sent out an AI survey maybe 2 months ago now. We're going to send it out annually just to get a better sense of who knows about AI, who's comfortable with AI, with what business needs are for the county. And here are some of the highlights essentially that compares the original survey that we did was in last year in 2024 to 2025. So a couple key highlights. AI familiarity. Basically, we see there's a huge increase, not a huge number in general, but a huge increase from 2024, from 14.6% of people who say that they were very or extremely familiar with AI to now 26.6. So it's a good thing, heading in the right direction. AI usage, staff that use AI tools rose from 15.8% to 26.2%. So more people who are actively using it. Training interest, which is super important. We think that people have to understand the technology before they should understand it before they use it, and training can help you do that. So strong and steady, 74% of staff are interested in AI training, and many are now asking for role-specific or deeper technical training, which we didn't really have in before. Perceived AI impact on work was a big one that you will all probably be interested. So top received benefits, efficiency, 48% of the respondents thought that it could make existing manual processes more efficient. They thought also automation of repetitive tasks was a good use of it, 40.9%. Accuracy and enhancement of what they do today, 39.7 people thought that that would be a benefit. And then the last big one was analytics and data insights. They 37.6% believe that it can be used to analyze data in a faster and more efficient way. Uncertainty dropped from 39.3% to 27%, which really reflects a better understanding of the potential benefits of the applications that we use. Folks last year were a bit skeptical, and that makes a lot of sense. Concerns and challenges that we identified in the survey, staff expressing concerns increased slightly from 47.4 to 52.3, and the common themes about what they were concerned about. Number one, data privacy and security, which is huge and completely understandable. We also, as IT, are concerned about data privacy and security issues. Job displacement and dehumanization, there's some concerns there. Accuracy and over-reliance on AI. Those are actually things that are common throughout, not just here. Environmental impact takes a lot of computing power to run AI, and that's a concern to a lot of people. Lack of clarity, training, and governance. Completely understand that, and that's why we have our AI task force to ensure that we provide clarity where possible. That's what the guidelines are all about, provide training to you all and provide governance. And then last but not least, the biggest, the last challenge with ethical misuse and biases that sometimes pop up when you use AI. All right, and then open feedback trends. I thought it was important to share these. So these are just trends that we pulled out of the feedback. So more specific use cases is what a lot of folks are looking for, actual examples of how the tools can be used in their specific areas of responsibility. Increased technical understanding. There's a lot of folks who hear about the different tools, but they aren't very clear on the technical aspects. And even from an IT department perspective, our team need more training, needs to get a better understanding of specific tools like Copilot and ChatGPT. Those are the ones that more than likely will be used. And then last but not least, a theme of continued skepticism. Some still question AI's value and oppose its use completely. There are some folks who do not want us to use AI for a lot of different reasons. One, they believe that it will take their jobs. Two, they believe that people will become reliant on it. There's a long list of issues and concerns they have there. So last but not least, this is just the trends from 2024 to 2025. I thought this was interesting, so I wanted to show you. In 2024, there was a lot of curiosity, but cautious optimism, general lack of knowledge is what we found in the survey we did last year about AI, and the desire for introductory education and ethical use was there. In 2025, there was more specific questions about how do I use AI, which it was, interesting and the right progression. We're heading in the right direction there. And then increased technical understanding by staff and users, people understand it more. And then continued skepticism was also a theme for 2025. So that's it. I just wanted to share what we got from the employees here at DuPage County when we did our annual survey.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation, very informative.
No, it's a lot of information. I thought it's important.
I'm sure we have questions. And don't be shy to ask. Order of deeds.
Oh, thank you. So thanks for the presentation, Anthony. I appreciate it. So the guidelines that you provided, will those eventually have to be approved by the board or?
They will when they become a policy, not as a guide.
Once you get into policy, they'll be approved by the
Yeah,
board. Okay.
yeah, as a guideline, they do not have to.
Okay, but once they become, so when do you think it will be approved by policy so that all the employees can get copies of it or have something in their hands so they understand how to use?
Well, even as a guideline, our plan is to issue it after this.
After this
group
meeting?
Weighs in. Yeah.
It'll go to everybody.
We wanted to make sure this group weighs in, gives us feedback on it. If there are any material changes, we can make that before it goes out to all, but it's gonna go out to all.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then just a question. I've been noticing when I turn on my computer,
Yeah.
there's a little box that comes up and it says AI generated or something like that, but I always just close it out
Yeah.
because
It
it,
shouldn't be turned on.
honestly, it
so that's-
freaks me out.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So that's Microsoft Copilot, which
Okay.
unfortunately Microsoft pushed out to all of our devices. We tried to turn it off, and I think Joe turned it off for the most part, right?
For the most part.
Yeah, it's turned off for the most part. So if you see it, just let us know.
Yeah, I've been seeing it.
Microsoft didn't give us an option.
Yeah, and sometimes they do push things through like that, yes.
Because you
Okay.
actually have to, so there are different version of their AI chatbot called Copilot.
Okay,
This is the free version. There's a more advanced one where you have to pay, but they're trying to push it out to get people familiar with it. So
Okay.
people get excited about it so that we can pay for it. we're not doing that yet.
Okay,
So-
so if it comes up again, should I maybe screenshot it and send
Yeah,
it?
you can make a
to
screenshot and just, or just
Okay.
call help desk and tell us.
Okay, I will.
We tried to turn it off, but we may have missed some, and we'll just, look at your machine and figure out why we missed you and turn it off for now.
Great,
But we
okay,
think it
thanks.
makes more sense to turn it off for now.
Okay, thank you.
Member you?
Thank you, Chair. So I do know though that you guys did buy the Copilot licenses.
We did.
So that you guys can start testing and work on it. And
Yep.
so is there like a timeline such that we already have Copilot on our, I guess, laptops? Again, it's not the paid version just yet. But is there a timeline as to when more of us do use Copilot potentially?
Yes and no. So we don't have a hard and fast timeline, but we think within the next 6 months, we can do a thorough review of Copilot. We are working on, it's an application called Copilot Studio, which allows us to create our own chatbot. We're gonna work on that over the next 6 months, and we believe within that timeframe, 6 to 9 months or so, by the end of this year, we should be able to release it to more people. We're not gonna release it to all. Number one, it's a very expensive tool. So I think it's about $3,000 or $4,000 per user per year, right? 360 per month
Yes.
times 12 comes out to about 1,000.
It's $30 a month.
Oh, it's 30. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Almost 300. So a month. But it's still, overall expensive. So we're gonna make sure we identify people who need to use it, have an actual use for it, and then we'll roll it out according to that.
Okay.
So,
I have one.
Yes.
yeah,
Thank you.
but one more thing. So in the interim, though, we will identify early adopters, folks who want to use it, and we're gonna help them help us test it. Right, so to say you're interested, you want to learn about it on behalf of county board or board members, we'll give you a license, but we'll ask you to give us feedback on how it's working, what are the challenges, and we may put some guidelines in place so you can test it out and help us.
Okay, cool. So I've gone to several other like meetings and seminars on AI, because I'm big interested in this. And I've heard that if we do a closed network within the county, that we can use more sensitive data and information, that kind of thing, because it is closed network and there isn't some concern of leakage or security issues or that kind of thing. But Copilot, that's not necessarily what you guys are trying to use.
That
That's
is,
closed.
so
Oh, it
you
is.
get the gold star, so I didn't use those terms.
Okay.
But essentially by us developing our own in-house version of Copilot, using Copilot Studio, that's exactly what it creates, that closed loop. Yeah, so that is exactly what we're trying to do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then my last question is, I know that during your presentation, you had stated that staff, you were gonna make it mandatory training on the Innovate US courses.
Yeah.
Will elected officials also be required to do so?
We can't force elected officials to do anything, but we are gonna strongly encourage them to follow that lead, yes.
Thank you.
So it highlights risk, security concerns, things of that nature. I think it's super important, not only for us, but for all.
Is that, Anthony, is that going to be coming up soon?
It is, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. We really wanted to present it to this body and to get your feedback, your thoughts, if there were any major concerns that we would hold off. But it sounds like there's not a lot of concerns, good questions, and we're ready to roll it out.
Yes, Member Rutledge.
Playing off of Ina's question about the elected officials who schedules training, I think we could all benefit from.
Oh, absolutely. So we're gonna make the training available to all. So both departments and staff, as well as elected official officers. So anything that we do, elected officials are included. We don't separate the two. So it's up to them if they decide that they don't want to take our recommendations or take the training, but it's always offered to them.
Would this be an online training or in person?
It's gonna be online, so it's a virtual training. In the future, if you all wanted to have a more extensive training, I think it makes sense. Once folks get more familiar with the technology and more comfortable and become more technical, then we can have something, but the online training will cover what we need today, I think.
Any other questions or comments? All right, fascinating topic,
Yeah.
AI. Always exciting. All right, moving on to old business. Do we have any old business? All right, seeing none, any new business? All right, I'm sorry, not member, recorder of deeds, Shevlin,
Thank you.
and then Bill White.
Thanks, thank you. So, First of all, I just wanted to thank Anthony. He's always very receptive to phone calls that we make, and especially being a newly elected, I've been calling him a lot. So I do appreciate everything that you've done for our office and the assistance that you've given us. And just with regards to this thing that happened last week, I know our office did not get notified officially until Tuesday late afternoon,
Yeah.
but we were getting phone calls at our office about what was happening and asking if we were down. So hopefully in the future, and I know I'm sure everybody was so busy with other things, but even somebody just knocking on our door, coming down and letting us know what's going on so that we can inform our staff members of what's happening when they take those calls. That would be great.
I appreciate that feedback and thank you. So once we're done with this process, and again, right now, we are limited to what we
Yep,
can share
absolutely.
in the entire process, but once we're done, we're gonna, of course, do a postmortem lessons learned session where we
Right.
go through, document those things. I agree that there was some additional communications could have gone out. We were hesitant because we didn't know a lot, and with ransomware, confidentiality is super duper important, right? So even though we weren't keeping you all in the loop, we know that you weren't affected. If anyone contacted us, we would tell them that. You're not affected, don't worry about it. The people who are affected have been notified, and they were notified right away at 3:00 AM in the morning. But the people who were not affected, no, we were not reaching out to you, mainly because we didn't have a lot of information, and we were asked by the experts to keep things as confidential as possible. You have to negotiate with threat actors and things of that nature. And the more information gets out, the more difficult it makes it for you and more difficult it'll make for us to get people back up and running. So we apologize for that, but it's a lesson learned. We'll try to figure out a way to
Just to even,
communicate to say, hey, you're okay.
yeah, or you're okay, or, you
Yeah.
know, and the other offices are having some trouble. You don't even
Yeah.
have to go into detail, you know, they're just down right now, but so, because we do get a lot of calls for like, people get confused with our office and the circuit clerk for information, so, you know, not a credit, just something for future, if this would happen again, it just would be nice to have just some kind of information, so we're prepared to talk. Let
Yeah,
people know that
feedback
they're
is
down,
accepted.
and if we can help them somehow, so,
I agree. Feedback is accepted, and I agree. Next time,
Yeah, and
we'll
then
try to make sure that we do that.
yeah, it would be
Hopefully,
great.
there's not a next time, but.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
really, right, but you know, I mean, it's no fault, I mean, things like this happen, I mean, you can
They
be
do.
very well protected and, you know, it could happen, so, not a fault of anybody.
Yeah, Madam Recorder, let me stop for a second. I'm glad you said that, because I want to repeat that. It happens to everyone. So, these are folks that, this is essentially their job. So the cybersecurity experts that we deal with, they call them a business. And they refer to them as a business because they really are a business. These are business of folks, in some cases, it is other nations. We think that Russia may have played a part in it. Number two, and if I'm saying too much, Connor, tell me what not to say. So, number one is.
We're
So-
just not gonna speculate until we
Yeah,
finish
sorry,
our investigation, and I
sorry.
hope
But
that
the-
answers your question.
Yeah, but the last part is, it's like a business, and their job is to find ways to find loopholes and get into your system. That's all they do, right? 24/7, try to figure out ways. We don't have time to do that. We sleep, actually, and they don't.
Thank you, I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. Auditor White.
Related to the outage, certain offices, the affected offices do not have access to county systems such as accounts payable and the budgeting system. Is consideration being given to opening temporary workstations in this building? My understanding is that if they had a DuPageCounty.gov temporary email, then the employees could come over here and log in. You can put some workstations in the basement and let the sheriff's office or the court or the court clerk have access to our systems.
Yeah, so, no, that's a very good question. Thank you, Auditor. But, the answer to that is that, we are prioritizing those groups that need access. The current recommendation is for us not to connect any of those systems until we're done with the investigation, until we're
My
done.
point was to create a new system as part of our system and give them a new email address based on DuPageCounty.gov.
Yeah, we're looking at all of that, and right now, that is not the recommended path. We do have a recommended path to give them access as quickly as we possibly can move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Yes, County Clerk.
So somewhat related to a few different things that have bounced around, right? Like with the AI policies and, can't, force the elected officials to do it. But obviously some things are on a shared network. But then like in the case of this attack, it sounds like part of it was isolated to certain, offices and maybe didn't, put other offices at risk. And I think the extent of what is connected and what isn't, and which, software that if we use it exposes a different department or vice versa, if, we choose to follow your guidance on something, but then another county office, does a different policy. And I don't even know whether like open session, executive session, individual meetings would be the best way to like get a little more clarity on that. But I think, listening to it, I'm trying to follow like, well, how much of this is individual policy choice? Like, do you want to let your staff, use devices, for personal, use to a more or less strict extent? And then how much of it is, well, this particular type of software opens the entire network to a vulnerability that like affects everyone on it and you don't have a choice one or the other. And I think like in the case of this attack, one, without really knowing like why we're safe, why it's not affecting us, what we are and are not connected to, then it also sometimes you're flying a little blind on like, well, what should our policies be about this type of software and this type of thing? So I think like that bigger question is kind of like, scattered around a few of these different issues. And I'm not exactly sure the best way to address it, but it keeps bouncing in my mind as the conversation is
It's a
happening.
good comment. So we let me just say this. So we can't talk about these things like you said, and definitely not in open session. For those of you who want to have, more detailed conversations, we can, but after we're done with this process, right? And at the end of the process, the goal is for us to make recommendations, right? About the entire organization, what we need to do to be more secure, more safe moving forward. And that will address some of those policy issues and software issues up front. And so I think we have to have a conversation about it. What's what makes the most sense.
Recorder Chair.
Thank you. So kind of, I was just thinking, maybe once this is all done, maybe we could do a elected official roundtable and kind of share, and it could even maybe be an executive session, but share what's maybe working in what's not working. That might be a thought after this is all said and done. I think it's good for the elected officials to all maybe communicate with each other.
I agree, yeah.
And I think that would, when this is, like I said, when this is done, maybe that would be a nice thing that we could do.
I think that's a great idea. But also when we have that post-mortem kind of discussion and report, it's going to include all of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
This is
great.
the
Thank you.
recommendation for
Okay,
all,
perfect.
right? Take it or leave it. We got a conversation about it, but here's what the experts say that we should do. And here's the recommendation for us moving forward.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, member to start.
I did have a question. I don't know if you can, I don't know if you can talk about it. If not, that's fine. But, how we take annually that cybersecurity course, don't open this, look at this. Is that how it got in, through somebody individually opening something on their?
Yeah, I can't share that information, but
Just wondered,
yeah.
thank you.
But let me just say that training is super important. People should continue to take it. We're going to push it. It actually keeps us very, very safe.
Great questions. Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? All right. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for all your questions. I know it could be frustrating to get these answers sooner, but we will Anthony's done a great job, our whole IT department. So I want to thank you guys for, I don't know when you sleep, but thank you for working so hard on it.
The 45-minute window between 3 and
Yeah.
3:45.
All right, moving on to, well, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
All right.
All right, your turn. You